Well, Braxton indoor today with the rain. What'd you make of that today?
Well, it was a little bit of a couple things. The elements, but also taking some wear and tear off the bodies. You know, you get out there in the cold, their lower half, their legs. I thought it was really clean. I thought it was fast. That's what we needed it to be, you know, working red zone, third downs. Because the one thing I really respect about this New Mexico team is they've figured out really precisely who they are, and they play to that. It's simple, it's fast, it's aggressive. They're going to come out here and fight for something, and we got to be ready for that.
Speaking of them, I mean, they've given up point totals, I mean, close to 50-ish, but then just 16 against San Diego State. Like, how do you make sense of a defense like that? How do you prepare for that?
You know, like I said a little bit on Monday, you know, I think they started this 4-2-5 train to start, and it didn't go very well, and they went back to the 3-3, and I just feel like it fits their personnel, their schematics, and they've been better at that. They held CSU to 17, and one of those touchdowns was a special teams touchdown. So obviously they've done really good against the spread. So our hands are going to be full from 0 to 10 yards in the 3-3 and the drop 8. I mean, they take away all your quick pass. And, you know, so we got to find a way to run the football, be aggressive, make them come down, and then try to get it back over the top of them. So it's been a good squad. So they're playing with a good confidence this time of year.
I didn't realize until recently that it wasn't until you got the head coaching job that you brought back the tight ends for the first time in I don't know how long. What made you want to do that and what?
We got to catch this guy up, Jamie. You know, in the history. No, it was funny. Coach Walden actually at my press conference before I even named an offensive coordinator. He's like, anyone who has a question, which is always dangerous with coach in the room, and he just says, "Are we bringing the tight ends back?" And at that time, I couldn't say anything, but hell yeah, we are. Just from a defensive lens, that position creates complexity in offenses, creates diversity, creates physicality. And, you know, Coop's done a good job of bringing that. Trey Lechner, actually, if you guys were at practice, made a hell of a play to finish. You know, Andre. These guys just bring that complexity to our offense. And it's what's really needed, and that's what I believe in, the football path of it. And, you know, the numbers are still showing out there. If you outrush your opponent, you're going to win. It's one of the biggest stats, that and winning the ball battle. So to do that, you need physical play and be able to mix up personnels and create confusion for the defense.
I believe the exact question is there a chance in hell we ever see a tight end at Washington State again?
I think
you guys have a fullback too.
Yeah.
You know, I want to ask you, New Mexico's offense, obviously you talked about the explosiveness of Dampier. He's taken just 5 sacks this year, and I think part of that is his mobility. With you guys blitzing as much as you have recently, does that have to change a little bit, knowing that if you crash the edges and bring 6 guys, there's a good chance he steps out of that and has all kinds of daylight?
Well, first off, to your point, 5 sacks this time of year, and they played 10 games. It's just incredible. So when I watch the tape, Jamie, I got such a high level of respect for their coaching staff. I see a high level of schematic coaching and fitting the scheme to the players, right? And they know they're going to always keep an extra guy in. They got an O-lineman playing tight end, you know, so you treat him a little bit different. So in pass protection, they always have 6 O-linemen. So there's some tough things schematically to beat, and people have pressured him. He does scramble to throw it. He's a little more controlled in that area. But if you give this guy a crack, he's going to hit it, and then he can hit the house. So it's challenging. You have to spy him. You have to do a bunch of different things schematically. You got to pick and choose, you know, what personnels you want to attack and which ones you want to sit off a little bit. So the challenge is real, and he has some things where he's run power out the front door and then ripped one down the sideline against Air Force. It's incredible watching this kid play. So he's playing with a lot of confidence.
Does he remind you of anyone you guys have played or even anyone you've watched around the country or even in the pros, just kind of that it's a very unique style?
Well, I think schematically it's so different with the way they run them, the way they move them in the pocket. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare to anybody. It's just it's a tough cover and a unique skill set. And I'm sure a lot of people, you know, didn't recruit him because he's under 6 feet. But you know, we got a kid that we've recruited that we feel really good about that can do a lot of these things too. So it's dynamics over dimensions sometimes, and that's what this kid has brought to them. And I'm sure last year playing a little bit in and out, he got took some lumps, but now he's really benefiting, and now he's playing extremely confident.
The turnovers this year defensively have seemed to just come at the most opportune times. I mean, you look at the Buddha pick against San Diego State, of course, the Ethan pick 6. That kind of seemed to be more to the identity of what you guys were your first 2 years. What has it kind of been getting back to that when maybe it wasn't always there last year?
Well, turnovers and takeaways are one of those things where, you know, you can do all the little circuit deals you want. It's guys playing fast and aggressive and playing with tons of energy. And I thought we've done a good job of that this year. to your point, you can't have the fourth quarter comebacks without those big plays in those big moments. So it's staying aggressive, it's executing your job, and it's finding a way. I mean, Buddha shed a defender and went and took the ball away from the Utah State guy as he reached it over the first down. That is just sheer playing with effort. And I do think the more athletic you are, the more you recruit to that, it's amazing how the better players go out there and make a lot of plays. We got a bunch of good playmakers that have gone out there and done some good things. The big one about this year, normally the number one takeaway is sack fumble. Right, we just really haven't had that one yet, right? So that'd be great this week if we want to go out there and do that. But that's the one we haven't gotten, which is the most normal one you can get. So it's just good to our back skill players and finding ways to get those in big moments.
You said Monday you were going to obviously talk to the medical team, et cetera. Do you kind of have an update on Wayshawn, where he stands for this week?
Yeah, Wayshawn went about half today, and I thought he looked really good. We were conservative with him on Tuesday, so I anticipate him being ready to roll.
And then just anyone else to note injury-wise? I mean, I know Trey was out last week, Quinn, et cetera.
Quinn went for the first time today, so we'll kind of see what that film looks like a little bit. Who else?
Trey Shackelford.
Oh, Shaq practiced for the first time today, too. So all guys are building to game day decisions, I would say, with all those guys you mentioned, but trending in a really positive direction still here on Wednesday.
You guys really have not faced many dual threat quarterbacks this year, a lot of pocket passers. Like, how much do you have to not remind the guys when they face guys like this, but like for the first time all season, like facing a dual threat quarterback in week 10 or 11, like what's that challenge like?
Yeah, I think it is very unique. And we've talked to our DBs too. Sometimes there's some long covers. I mean, he'll scramble around, and then all of a sudden throw one 40 yards down the field. There's some, 6-7 second covers. And then on his third down and short yardage is really challenging. The quarterback run game, he can throw it, but yet he's running it, some RPO stuff. So those situations get really challenging with a guy that can run the football. I mean, you got to kind of pick and choose. You don't want to give up the big play, but you want to get the stop. It flattens out your defense. And I think a lot of times you can negate some quarterback run if you can be more physical in them up front, eliminate some of those run lanes. He showed many times if you get out of a gap in some of the quarterback runs, he's hitting the big one. So it's got to be artful in how we attack it, but also how we got to go out there and stop it early. So, we get more confidence in us defending it. Thanks, Coach. All right, go Cougs.